The Oilers are better than this. They're way better than the team that's given up 22 goals over the last 4 games, all of them losses. But Kris Knoblauch is fed up. In the midst of their longest losing streak of the season, the Oilers coach just called his team fragile. Craig, what's he mean by that? And apart from wins, what's the fix?
Well, bottom line is I think that when Kris Knoblauch comes out and just says they're fragile, I think it's just a part of the, what I would call the coach speak toolkit. You know, instead of trying to go into specific players or specific areas of the team, he just lumps everybody in together and says we're fragile. We hear it all the time. I think that it was just a case of Kris Knoblauch being frustrated. But at the end of it all, Gino, this team has been a top team in the National Hockey League, offensively, defensively, in every single measure since Kris Knoblauch took over this team. So, yeah, we look at the last 3 games since the Four Nations break. You can add the 4th game prior to that, and you can look at it. Simply put, it's been a collective effort for the Edmonton Oilers to be as successful as they have been for a long period of time. And these last 3 games have been a collective effort in mediocrity, in abysmal effort, in abysmal connected play. And so that's why they haven't been able to win, and that's why they've looked so poor. And when you're a coach and you know what your team is capable of, more importantly, Gino, when a team knows what they're capable of, you don't have to try to convince them that they have to play a certain way. You just have to remind them that when you're playing well, you know what it takes to have success. And that, to me, is all Kris Knoblauch was trying to do with his use of words and vocabulary, and the players know. And maybe they win this game versus Florida, maybe they lose it. What I can guarantee you is this: if they play in the same manner as they played in their previous 3 games, it's simply not a recipe for success, and they'll have struggles winning any game if they're going to take that type of approach to playing.
All right, let's keep looking ahead. Tonight is a rematch of the Stanley Cup Final. The last time the Oilers were in Florida, the game ended in a handshake line after a Game 7 loss, and they had to watch the Panthers celebrate the Stanley Cup victory. Will the way the Oilers handle tonight's game tell you a lot about how mentally tough this team actually is?
Well, I don't know. We talk about mental toughness and use terms like that. Again, I'm going to go back to a large data sample size. And that is something that has put the Edmonton Oilers at the top of the league in terms of performance. I don't question that they're mentally tough. I think that they have all those elements to win, and I think they're all there. Does that mean that they've been present in the previous games? No. Does that mean if they don't win this game that it's not there? Again, I'm going to emphasize and reiterate. If the Edmonton Oilers want to play in the manner that they played in the last 3 games, you can be mentally tough, and it doesn't matter if you're going to play that way. They played with what I would call just kind of a carefree, doesn't really matter type approach. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work at the highest levels. It doesn't work at the lowest levels, Gino. So to me, this game, yeah, it's nice. We look back and we go, oh, it's a rematch of the Stanley Cup Final, the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers aren't looking backwards. They're looking forwards. And if they want to be in a better spot come playoff time and have a better result, they need to get their game in order. That's the bottom line.
When a team has struggled like they have recently, and the trade deadline is this close, Craig, the Stars are not going anywhere. But there have got to be some guys in that room that are looking around saying, you know what, I'm not sure if I'm going to be here after the deadline. What's the role of the coach and general manager in terms of settling things down and getting them to focus the task at hand?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yes, you're looking at strengthening your team near the deadline, and the coach has just got to work with the group and work with the team and try to impress upon them what it takes to have success. And like I said earlier, Kris Knoblauch has done that. The players know that. So it's just getting back to that. As a GM, you're always trying to strengthen your team. You're always trying to make sure that you give your team at as much maximum strength going into the playoffs as you possibly can. And that's Stan Bowman's job. Bottom line, Gino, is if players are going to be put off by chatter here and chatter there and chatter this, then they might be telling you that maybe you're not the type of player we want here. I'm not suggesting that, but this is part of the business. This is part of the job. Stan Bowman has been through it, been there, done that. This team is looking forward. You run into what I'd call the darker days of winter. I think the Edmonton Oilers may have found that. Hopefully in the Sunshine State, they find a win on this Thursday night. But right now, I think that everybody, wants the deadline to pass, but there's going to be additions to this team and probably subtractions.
All right. The upside for the Oilers, they played so well before the recent slump, they built up enough cushion to carry them through it. Despite their 4-game losing streak, a win tonight in Florida, and the Oilers could move back into a tie with Vegas for first in the Pacific.